All right, now seeing that it's 6:01, I'm going to call the wage and personal meeting to order on Monday, July the 15th. Lorraine and I are present, so we have a quorum. The meeting is being recorded by Zoom. Anyone intending to make an audio or video recording of the meeting should notify the chair at this time. Any questions? Okay. Items may be taken out of order at the discretion of the chair. First, appointment is Tina Betty and Keith Hickey, Town Administrator and Human Resources. So I will leave it to, this is to discuss the salary of a new finance director, town accountant, a hire above step 3 on a grade 13.
Yeah, so basically that is what it says. So we, as you remember, we posted this position originally fall time of last year, got no qualified candidates, if any candidates, but we did end up with a couple, just they weren't qualified. And we ended up pulling the position, and the incumbent decided to the town allow, they together decided that a remote situation would be fine until we could find another comparable town accountant finance director. We put the ad out. We actually got a number of qualified people. We ended up interviewing 4. This particular applicant rose to the top. And currently, as you saw from their contract, finance director, the past year, they have a contract directly to their board of selectmen in the town that they're the director for. Prior to that, you know, normal situations with other municipalities in the accounting role. And from their contract, you can see that taking this position would actually be a step back in salary. And that's why we're coming here today, because we are offering step 10 of the grade 13.
So you're offering this step 13?
No, step 10, grade 13.
Step 10, grade 13. Okay.
If I could maybe just add a little bit to Tina's explanation. So, I had met with the Board of Selectmen in the executive session a couple of weeks ago. I can't obviously get into what was discussed, but was looking for some direction from them on whether or not a finance director continuing to work remotely would be something the board would allow or consider continue. They were willing to allow that if we couldn't find a candidate that we felt was a candidate that was capable of replacing our existing finance director. So we interviewed 4 candidates, as Tina mentioned, with that in mind. Kathleen Barrett rose to the top, really because of her experience and the fact I think she's going to fit very, very well with the cast of characters we have currently working for the town of Kingston. She has started her municipal career over a decade ago, has worked her way up. While she's been in her current position, they've had a number of positions underneath the umbrella of finance director that have left for any number of reasons, better opportunities, whatnot. And she, along with others within the finance department, have had to take some responsibility to learn different aspects of the accounting functions that they were doing outside of their normal day-to-day finance director functions, to get payroll done, to get property taxes squared away with the assessing department, things of that nature. That I'm sure was a very painful year for her to endure because they were so short-staffed and she had to wear so many hats. That, in my mind, in coming here and applying here, makes her that much more of a strong candidate, because she's able to be in the building, she's able to assist with property tax billing. She's able to assist or support with payroll functions if need be. So, she's got a wide range of finance director skills that she's got. Her current software is and has been Munis, so she's skilled in the financial software. She knows how to use, like I said, not just the Munis financial software for the accounting piece of it, but she's also dealt with the Munis piece of it with regards to billing and payroll and all sorts of things such as that. So, we had the flexibility of continuing a remote relationship with Carol, which has worked well. Most of the time, there have been times where I wish I could have walked down the hall and asked a question. But Carol has attended whatever meetings that were needed remotely. She's always available during work hours to answer questions through either email or phone call and whatnot. But I think that there are times where it's nice to have the finance director in the building, or be able to attend meetings in person.
Yep.
Something that Carol has indicated that she just doesn't have the flexibility to do, at least in the interim. And really no guarantee as to when or if that status may change moving into the future. So what I'm hoping is if this committee supports this hire and the board of selectmen approve it tomorrow night, obviously I've had conversation with Carol, so she knows what the status is. And what I've told Carol and what I've told Kathleen is, in a perfect world in my mind, there'll be a period of time where that Carol can help Kathleen get up to speed on Kingston specifics, items and issues. The year end is gonna be closing sometime in the near future. Today's the last day for any transactions. So, I believe, I feel very comfortable that I think when Kathleen walks in the door, she's gonna do a great job. She's gonna understand the overall responsibilities that she has and be able to do those tasks very, very well. She'll have to get up some speed on the Kingston specific things. But that is that would be consistent with anybody really. And
Yeah.
like I said, I think she's going to be a great fit, not only capability wise, personality wise as well. I think she's going to work well with department heads, work well with anybody she comes in contact with. Just has a really good personality, somebody who I think wants to help people out. So we offered the position candidly, pending wage and personnel review, pending board of selectmen review. Wasn't sure if she was going to take the position. The salary was obviously, as Tina mentioned, the salary was a bit lower than where she is now. And we could talk about this, whether it be tonight or at some other meeting. One of the real challenges we had, at least in this situation, and we've had a little bit with some senior management positions when we had the opportunity to, or have had to replace senior management. She started excuse me, Kathleen gets 5 weeks vacation.
That was one of my questions.
I through the wage and personnel bylaw, I can only offer 2. And I was completely candid up front with her and said, I'm willing to be flexible with a variety of things that I have the authority to be flexible on.
Good morning, Tom.
I don't have
No,
the
good
flex.
evening.
Hey, Carl. I don't have any flexibility when it comes to vacation time. And
Not there.
I think we talked a little bit about that maybe last fallish, about whether or not we want to look at potentially modifying the bylaw to give a little bit more flexibility there. And Tina and I talked about it.
Yeah.
I frankly don't want to give that battle. But at least with some of the senior management, I think typically they've got tenure where they are. They've been able to earn a greater number of vacation days a year because of their length of service.
Is there any flexibility in the bylaw to allow approval by wage and personnel board as far as vacation changes?
Not now.
Not
My-
now.
No, my point I'm trying to make
Sure.
is take it out of there and put it here. So that there's less of a problem from the standpoint of.
Take what from where and here.
Take, in other words, take it out of giving them the flexibility and make it subject to our approval.
Oh, I see.
And
So
then,
make a,
and then
okay.
they make the case to us, which they're going for the applicant. And then it moves the decision to this side of the table
Sure.
to give them the flexibility. Again, I think what I tried to do, and we all tried to do back a few weeks ago, especially, was to go to step 3, so you guys had flexibility.
Had flex,
You know,
yes.
one of the things that I see, and I'm not gonna speak for everybody else, but I see what the job market is, especially in senior management. I
Yeah.
also know what's coming with other people you have to start going after, so, and replacing. So, I can see having timing being a problem and hands tied being a problem. So I'm trying to get the flexibility. But I also see your point 100%, where, you know, other issues, and then that's what we're here for.
Sure.
Is if that person has an issue, make your case and we say yes or no.
And again, I'm not opposed to.
Just a thought.
No, I appreciate that, and I'm not opposed to thinking outside the box, and if it makes most, I'm not, so. I'm not concerned about Tina or I having the flexibility or the authority to be flexible. Frankly, I'm concerned about other, whether it be wage and personnel employees or unionized employees saying, well, you're potentially giving a department head 3 weeks vacation. You know, why can't you give somebody who's coming over from another town, who's been an equipment operator for 5 years, 3 weeks vacation? And I believe there's a difference there. And we're not having problems with hiring, you know, other lower grade positions because of vacation or through time. I think we've addressed fairly reasonably. They have an option now to come in with a less expensive health insurance program.
Mhm.
But to your point earlier, Jim, I think that the issue we're having in some cases is just the fact that the people are paying so much more. It's tough to stay, you know, within market, but be able to afford long-term keeping these employees here and having the staff where they're at. So I think, you know, not that I apologize for going way off base. I'm happy to answer. Tina and I are both happy to answer any questions any of you have about Kathleen. I think she's somebody who, you know, she lives just over the bridge in Sandwich, commutes a little bit shorter to come here. I think she's looking for a long-term employment opportunity, and you know, we've explained some of the challenges and things that I think we'll face. I think we were about as honest with her as we could be, so she doesn't walk in the door and say, boy, I wish you told me that. I may have changed
You
my
got
mind.
a tough year coming.
We do, and she knows that.
Yeah.
And you know, I think she's up for the challenge. And I think she's got the capabilities and the you know, the personal makeup to be able to handle the anxiety, the stress, and the challenges that this is going to bring.
So she's going down to 2 weeks.
She is.
At this stage, yeah.
Right, at that stage. In my experiences have been in the past, people with 20 years and 5, 6 weeks tend to say, no, I don't want to get this money, but I'm going to lose 2 weeks. So I agree with that, that there's maybe there's a way to kind of, you know, figure something out through the bylaw.
Well, and I appreciate that, but I'm also, one of the things we talked about last week was, you know, again, I need, if there's any flexibility that's going to be potentially provided, what does that do for people who started in the last year or so? So, you know, we addressed the issue where think last year we addressed the issue where we had 1 week's vacation for a year. Now we've moved it to 2.
Mhm.
There were at least 2 people that I'm aware of that, that were impacted by having just the 1 week in their first year of employment. So we're just really sensitive to that, how we roll that out, because I don't want to win the battle and lose the war.
Right.
This individual, I don't think she'd be upset, or she, her husband's a police officer on the Cape. He's been with his department for quite some time. He gets upwards of 6 and 7 weeks
Yeah.
vacation. So for her, having some vacation time, so she had the ability to spend time with family was important. And that's where Mike said before, my concern was of her potentially saying, love the opportunity, not sure I want to sacrifice that time, but I think that she weighed everything and realizes, I think this is a pretty good opportunity for her. She recognizes that, and was willing to sacrifice basically over half of vacation time annually to come here.
So just with regards to opportunity, let's start asking some questions.
Sure.
So I really do want to try and get us out of here.
Yeah,
Right.
he's gonna be somewhere too.
I know. What are you going to do going forward regarding money? Is that
So-
step 10?
Yep, so she knows, and Tina made it very clear with her that the only thing she would get is if wage and personnel provide a cost of living raise, that's all she'd be eligible for. She understands that. And, again, I've told her what we can provide for her
Yeah.
moving forward. She seems to be, as she sat here with us, accepting of that. I don't, is Kingston her last stop? I would say maybe not. I mean, I think she's young enough where if another opportunity, a larger community presents itself 5-10 years down the road, she may take that opportunity, and who wouldn't, if that's where she wants to go. But I think she's, she moved from town accountant in Sandwich to finance director in Harwich. It's a bigger job. There's more responsibilities. With that came some real challenges with both the lack of staffing and I think some of the lack of stability in people around her, people above her. I think she's looking for a place where she can be comfortable, happy, and settle in, and not have some of the craziness that she's dealt with.
We like to see challenges.
Yeah, well, they're definitely gonna be challenges here, but hopefully we've got a good group of people that she can come in and it'll be more stable for her here than maybe what she's had to endure over the last year. Good.
So looking back at some of the information that was sent to us, employment contract with Harwich,
Mhm.
she had contracts over the long term, right, of each one.
Well,
3-year contracts.
right, so this is her
Right.
first contract ever.
So here she would be
Wage and
Wage
personnel.
and personnel.
Yes,
totally
no
different.
contract.
It
Right.
is.
So it's not
And-
negotiable in some ways, right?
Well,
So-
no, I mean.
So
it's-
we're in contract.
We can,
contract you
I mean, we
can.
can negotiate the salary, right?
Within
Uh,
within
that's
the
Within
grade.
the
Right.
grade.
Within a certain area.
I don't think she's comfortable with the contract. If I was the finance director, as the town administrator, I'd rather not have a contract,
I get
because
it,
I
yeah,
can say,
yeah,
geez, green dress, really? You're at the end of your contract. We're gonna move
Yeah,
forward and move
yeah.
on, and so
Well, with
this,
that type of a position, you want some stability in terms
Sure.
of turnover, you know, and you don't want
Yep.
turnover all the time,
Yep.
especially in that higher level position.
Mhm.
So I'm just looking though, she's used to having contracts over the
No,
long
she's
term.
not.
Well,
This
this
is
is
her
her
first-
first
this
is her
contract,
contract.
and she's only
Yeah.
1 year into it.
One year into it.
Okay.
And is there any financial issue with breaking that contract?
That's
So she's
the
got
other thing I was
she's
looking
got a
for.
60-day notification for it. When I have not spoken to her since like last Thursday or Friday.
Mhm.
She was gonna have a conversation with her board. What I said to her, and I think we're fortunate to be in this situation. Carol, Carol, I think is maybe more actively looking now than she was last week, but I think she's had her she's been sniffing around here and there. I think we're in a good position because what I want to see happen is Carol be here to help or be available to help her in the transition. I don't see Carol leaving anytime in the next 60 days. I want to, what I told Kathleen is I want you to leave Harwich like I would hope you would leave here at some point in the future. No bridges burned, no damage done. If I believe you're the right person for this position, I will wait 60 days. I have no problem with that because I think what I'm going to get 60 days from now will be something worth waiting for. So what I'm hopeful is that, Carol will still be willing to provide some support and assistance after those 60 days. The impression I get from Kathleen is she might try to reduce the number of days. She's hoping to come in middle of August, which is 3 weeks from now. Whether she's got, what happens here with a number of employees that leave, I'll give you a 2-month notice. And I'm gonna be on vacation for the last 4 weeks, and I'm just gonna burn my vacation days. Whether she's doing that to get here in the middle of August, I don't know. But I understand that she's got a 60-day notice requirement, and I would expect her to honor that when she leaves and not leave them, like I said, not leave them with a bad taste.
Because to me, if you're gonna breach that, then that's a character issue.
I agree. And one last thing, I guess I told her just to try to put this to bed. I told her too, that if she needs to take phone calls from Harwich when she's here, if she just go back on occasion to help them out here and there, I've got no problem with that. That's her responsibility to manage the job task that she has. But if it'll help Harwich release her earlier, to allow her to go back once in a while to work through whatever issues they're having, I'm fine with that. It's kind of neighbor helping neighbor, so to speak.
Because at that level of position, I would expect cooperation from the one you're leaving and the one you're going to. Again, character.
Well, and I think, and Tina knows this better than I because she's dealt with Cape stuff, but obviously, it's been hard enough to find a finance director on this side of the canal. Once you work your way over there, I know that a lot of Cape communities are having a really hard time finding skilled labor for a whole bunch of different positions. And I expect Harwich to really struggle with being able to find a finance director, maybe a smaller town. Again, I
Well,
don't
it's a
know.
smaller budget.
In
Kingston,
Kingston.
and it's a smaller
Sure.
budget. This is a step up from that standpoint.
No question.
It's also different timing. The Cape in the winter, they get a snowstorm down there, they don't face the same traffic we face
Sure.
up here during the
Sure.
snowstorm.
Sure.
So, the amount of pieces of equipment that have to go out, I do a lot of business on the Cape
Sure.
with the DPW,
Sure.
so I see what they do.
Mhm.
With Carol being involved too,
Mhm.
your budget's okay for 2 people for a while,
Yeah, we'll have to,
do some adjusting.
we'll have to do some adjusting, through some budgetary savings. We'll have to make a transfer later on this year, once we know what that cost is, but
Mhm.
again, I think it's money well spent.
I
versus-
don't disagree, I'm just bringing it up.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
This is the year with what we had last year, this is the year that we gotta ask the questions.
No question.
And more so than we have in the
Sure.
past. So, 2 other issues that I'd like to ask
Yep.
about. One is she has a background, if I'm not mistaken, with purchasing.
Mhm.
She has a certification through the
Mhm.
Mass.
Mhm.
With your planned and then withdrawal of a purchasing agent, is that a position that will kind of fit into her based on her experience? In other words, is that value added she's bringing to the table?
It is, and we talked about that during the interview. Basically being able to have somebody else who's certified, we can double team it, I can take some of that off my plate if need be. So certainly, that's a great point her background with that will provide not just me, but other department heads another resource to get answers to questions from. So it's a good,
So the plan would be to mold that into whatever your
Yep.
final position is gonna look like as far as that position.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Up and coming treasurer tax collector
Mhm.
discussion.
Mhm.
Finance director is gonna be a very key person
Mhm.
when that happens.
Mhm.
Any experience in that?
So she's done, again, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but when she's been in Harwich, they have had empty seats and collector treasurer, in the collector treasurer departments as well. So she's had to broaden, again, her skill set to be more aware and skilled with aspects within the treasurer collector position of department as well. So, whether it be the assessing stuff or the treasurer collector stuff, she's had experience supporting those two divisions of the finance department in Harwich as well, no question about it.
And then my final question,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna ask it as delicately as I possibly
problem.
can. So, she's less money, less vacation time, yes, less of a commute. Under contract with the town.
Mhm.
Why,
Mm.
I'll just ask it, does she wanna leave Harvard?
So again,
And again, the only reason, I'm, not in particular, I wanna ask about that, more, I'm trying to ask from the standpoint of position.
Mhm.
It's just that we're going for such a leap, and I think it's a justified leap personally, that I want somebody to say to me, you guys vetted that thing really,
We
really
did.
well.
So it's interesting. So let me, and let me just expand upon that a little bit. So, she gave us, after the interview, she had provided us references.
Yep. I saw some of them too.
Yeah, I had, it's interesting because in Sandwich, and I learned this about a month or 6 weeks ago when I was at a South Shore managers meeting. The Sandwich finance director lives in Florida and year round and has
Wait,
for
wait,
a
wait.
while.
The finance director.
The finance
for
director,
Sandwich?
the finance director for Sandwich, he was a longtime resident. He became the finance director. He said to the town, I'm moving to Florida, I resign. They said, would you have any willingness at all to be the finance director of Sandwich, Florida? And come up periodically, town meetings and whatever other important dates, and it's worked for them. All right. So it's not unique to Kingston. But I reached out to that finance director and had a very candid conversation with him. And I also reached out to the town manager, administrator, whatever his role is, who I met before, had a good conversation with him, and both of them were very supportive of Kathleen. The last question I asked both of them was, finance director, if you were to retire, would you have recommended Kathleen for the position? And town manager, if the finance director resigned, would you, if Kathleen had applied, would you consider her for the finance director position? Both said without question.
Nice.
So, they spoke very highly of her. Sometimes the only, I guess the only thing that they want to see, they would like to see her improve on, and we talked about that with her when we brought her back for a second interview, where sometimes she gets her teeth into things and she wants to absolutely understand it. And when she knows it's right, but she doesn't understand how it got to be right, she sometimes digs into that and may spin her wheels for a while. So we had that conversation, the three of us, Tina and myself and Kathleen, and said, look, I get it, right? But maybe there's a time and a place for that, and then maybe times and places where you're just gonna be aware of that, and maybe set it aside, move on, and go back to it again. So she understands it. She understands that that's something that she, should be focusing on and trying to improve on, as she works her way through the professional career. But other than that,
But why leaving the position at Harwich?
I'm sorry.
That was my. key
I appreciate,
question.
I'm sorry, I didn't ask the question. So, she was very professional, didn't want to disparage
And I'm not looking for that.
I understand that, but I think it's fair to say,
If you resolve a conflict leaving. And you resolve a conflict there, that's where my question comes from.
sure.
That's why I'm
So
asking.
the impression I'm getting is that I'm not sure how they're going to be able to fill the positions that need to be filled in Harwich in a time frame with people who have the capabilities of either knowing what the job is when they walk in the door, or even having a strong sense of how to do the job after a period of time. So I think the impression I had was she was working, 60, 70 hours a week. And it was a quality of life thing. She believes, based on her research here, there are times of the year where you have to work more than others. But the expectation and the requirement to work, the number of hours need to be worked on an annual basis here, is more, is more reasonable, I guess, than it was in Harwich, and she doesn't see that changing. So I'm sure she could have been a bit more candid, but I think it's a quality of life thing. She's trying to find some work-life balance, and she can find it here. I think it was the biggest issue, frankly. If that's fair.
Yeah, I think that, maybe to your point, Eileen, this was the first time she was on a contract reporting directly to the Board of Selectmen, and I think that was.
She hated it.
I
Didn't like it because
It wasn't-
she had a town administrator she was trying to answer to, but she really didn't work for him.
And
And there may be conflict between the
Thank you.
town administrator, town manager, and the Board of Selectmen, so she was, she was beholden to two different groups, right?
She's being
And
torn up.
it was uncomfortable for her to, I think, not be able to be completely candid or honest with all four people that in that case, because there's 3 selectmen and a town manager.
she did mention that even though miles wise, the distance is the same, it can be longer to get to Harwich from where she's.
Oh, yeah, no,
versus here,
so you don't tell me.
Oh, no,
I know it real well.
Or Sandwich to Harwich is.
I
the
know it
issue,
real
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Sorry again, I'm just
All
gonna
right.
ask one other quick. thing.
Sure.
Only because I know how important it is, especially when you're hiring, management help.
Mhm.
Okay, top administrative help. You have a lot of time and a lot of money spent on building.
Mm.
Okay, I am concerned where she's at grade 10, step 13. Do you have an out of the box plan or an out of the box idea? Are you open to an out of the box idea?
In what way?
In other words, could we put her under contract? At
So-
some point.
That's fine.
Go ahead.
So,
Well, that's what I was gonna
I don't want her to go to the next town.
no, I don't either, right? And I don't either, and one of the things that was raised to Tina and I last week was, well, why can't you offer a contract? And that way you could negotiate, give her 4 weeks vacation, for
Yeah,
example.
but she can
That's
test
right.
drive the job
I
and then
understand.
offer a contract.
No, I understand,
That's what I was
so,
wondering eventually.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
the issue again is similar to what we discussed with, with maybe providing some flexibility in the language of the wage and personnel bylaw. Well, what about the people before them and potentially the people after them? So listen, at the end of the day, if we get the right person, and there's gonna be some flexibility provided to try to meet a goal, in this case of keeping somebody here who's good at what they do, I'm open to anything, right? I just want to make sure that we aren't winning the battle and losing the war. We understand what the risks are, if there are any, with going a different direction. I would love you to.
Really super quick question. I'm sorry. Has Carol experienced working with her before? Sometimes they talk to each other.
So I don't
through
know
the
if she's had a
system.
ton of, I don't know if she's had a ton of conversations with her. She knew who she was
Yeah.
when I mentioned it to her last week, but anything
she
much
doesn't,
more,
that's
I mean,
okay.
anything much more than listserv stuff.
Yeah.
Email stuff, I don't think there's been a ton.
Yeah, because sometimes people have connections and
Yeah.
what do you call them? relationships,
Yeah.
but if she doesn't have it, she doesn't have it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a strong, I don't think it's a
It's far
strong one
away.
there. Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand.
Which the Kingston
Well,
is
but they're all
really
facing the
big.
same stuff.
But they're all the same, that's right, they go to the same conferences, they, stuff like that, but if there was no experience, that's okay.
I don't think there's been much.
Yeah,
So
and
I
that's okay.
I don't think people that you've interviewed for this position. You've said that, I mean, it seems like we're so eager to have someone first and foremost, right? So
I
it's like,
disagree with you.
Yeah.
no,
No, I mean,
so my,
again,
my question is like, what is it that, so with any type of position, if you really want it,
Mhm.
on both sides,
Mhm.
right, it's compromise.
Mhm.
Okay, so maybe not get the 2 weeks or 4 weeks, immediately, possibly, give up certain things to make that change.
Mhm.
What will she be able to give up in terms of, I mean, she's gonna have to, if she's jumping out of a contract and wage personnel, and we have to go by the bylaw. So my point is that there's gonna be a give and take in any kind of change. So, if you really want something, you have to pivot a little bit.
I think we've done that.
I
was
mean, we
gonna say,
have, no, but I mean,
Right.
on the other end.
So we're,
So
I
I think on
disagree.
the
I
other
mean,
end, she
I'm just
has.
wondering.
She
I'm
is,
just
she is
curious.
taking less money.
Yep, that's my.
Okay.
She's
Lady
taking,
King.
what, 3.5 weeks less vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Amazing.
So then to do that is something that she truly wants this position to.
I
show
think,
that.
I think it is.
Okay.
I think,
So what
I
the
don't want,
value?
I think, I
value
think,
added.
I think the value she's getting from here is, I think that and Tina brought it up, the push and pull with having a contract and, a two-headed boss was a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
In doing her research, I think she worked with a strong group of support staff here,
Yes, that's
department
true.
heads and other staff members. And she anticipates, and I would agree with her, there's probably more of a better work-life balance than what she's dealt with for a great deal of her time in Harwich. So,
There will be just on the fact that she's going to a wage and personnel employee versus a
to
contract.
me, I mean, again, it
Just
gives
for
her,
that point alone.
it gives her protection, right? Because
So I can see it. I mean, she's gonna, difference is $11,000 plus $1,700 in her retirement.
now,
And-
what's important, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think, one of the things we talked about, and I just am trying to be completely forthcoming with you guys. We mentioned to her during the interview because 11 grand is real money, right?
Yeah.
But she's gonna take her health benefit the other way.
That's
Yes.
right. So
So
she's,
she qualifies for the health site.
so her husband's a police officer. They're gonna retain, he's gonna be the carrier of the insurance.
Of course.
Yeah.
So she'll be eligible for the stipend that we get. So there's not an $11,000 delta on total compensation. So, that I think was helpful,
Mhm.
certainly, in helping her make a decision.
It's the stipend. And
For a family.
then that drops it down to a negligible
Between
amount
2
of
and 3
money.
grand,
Yeah, yeah.
and then that's 17 hours for
That's really
insurance.
one.
So for the
The,
retirement.
yeah,
Or
the big
retirement.
difference,
Yeah.
to me,
We'll have to
the
dive
big
into it.
difference and the big compromise was the vacation.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
big.
Oh, it was, I mean, that was,
Yeah.
and that was, I think, the thing that we were concerned most about in her accepting the position was just having to walk away from, that time.
Yeah.
So,
And if you think about it, she may save money on gas. So that this 3,000 doesn't, I mean, I'm one of those.
I get it.
She'll spend it on the lunches we have here.
Yeah.
I think it's, I think the peace of mind,
Yeah.
the work-life balance was really important to her. So,
Working with me.
working
with you.
working with our
With us.
remarkable HR manager is, I mean, it's hard to believe we still get paid.
Hey, I called her this
That-
morning and
that-
she was
that-
all over it.
It really is just the vacation period,
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
even the money she'd make in 2026 was, if we cover it with the COLA, we were right there. And, I just did the math, so it's just the vacation.
Yeah.
You know, that's fine. Step 10, again, I'll just allow me to step on my soapbox.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes,
Feel free.
and that is for all of what we spent on the compensation study, and we constantly run into these problems, so it tells me the compensation study constantly has to be manipulated.
Well, so, and we've had this conversation before, right? Like, I think if you presented to you someone that has 2 years of experience at step down, first of all, I would be in support of that. Right?
I don't think you
even if-
presented.
we wouldn't, but I think our hires, especially at the department head level, have shown that we hire experience, get the experience, right? And so the return on investment is there. I mean, compensation data has to get updated every year anyway, which we kind of do with COLA, but I think had we not done this and the position was what it was, she wouldn't have even applied. You know, and she wasn't even making the 140 that.
Right.
You know, as town council, so.
All right, anybody else have any other question?
No, thank you.
Okay, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve
Support.
I'm sorry, I move to support the employment recommendation of Kathleen Barrett to a step 10 at $140,727 per year.
A second,
I,
second, okay. I'll call the roll, Lorraine,
Yes.
Darlene,
yes.
Jim, yes.
Thank you very much. I
All right,
appreciate
thanks,
your help.
guys. Sorry to put you through.
Thank you for-
No, that's what you're here for. I appreciate the check and balance. I'm happy to have the conversation.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I was a little
Thank you.
concerned over some of it,
No, I get it.
yeah, so sorry to keep you there.
I told you I named the poor child this morning.
Good luck upstairs.
Thanks.
I thought he was your child.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Had an accident.
Yeah, but
Watch
you
out
were
for the
telling
bike.
me, yeah, mine's out there.
I heard
Your
you.
bike's in Milwaukee now?
No, my parts are in Milwaukee.
Your pots are.
Mike is on Cape Cod.
Mine got hit parked one day in York, and I had to send it to the York Harley Davidson plant to be painted. So I know exactly what you're going through.
Are you having a problem with your baby? You know,
My baby, no, I'm having a problem with people that are not like.
That's right.
Oh.
All right, so yeah, thank you, Keith.
Again, thank you. I keep saying thank you, but it's like, yeah, it was good.
All
That
right,
was
so
excellent.
we'll
Thank
move
you.
on to, thank you, everybody here too. We'll move on to update from Tina.
Sure.
Please, thank you.
First, so we posted the vets agent position, and we have interviews set up for that this week. So
Oh, good for you.
hopefully, yeah, so hopefully
That's
we'll have,
full-time, right?
that's full
Yeah.
time, yep. Hopefully we'll get an offer together. What step, I'm not sure yet. It depends on how these candidates turn out,
Oh, yeah.
but,
'Cause this is full-time now versus
Yep.
we're not sharing.
right, right.
Yeah.
So, finance, accounting, we talked about that. Harbor master divisions had some turnover. A couple of people have left, so people are moving around, which meant postings. So far we have, hired, which actually were promotions, at least for one. So our assistant harbor master went to deputy harbor master, which left the assistant harbor master open. We had an applicant for that who actually is an employee here in the town, so that's their new second job. After that recruitment had just closed up, the shellfish constable retired, and so that posting is out now. There may be an internal hire for that, someone who is an employee, but also like a regular employee, but also on the harbor master side has a gig going, so that might be another moving around. We have hired the COA outreach. So excited. I think she's just gonna be spectacular. And so that Board of Selectmen meeting is tomorrow. Very, very excited about that hire. So that worked out really well because I think that even with the finance director, I think, you know, recruitment is always about timing as well. You're as good as your application
Yeah,
pool,
sometimes,
applicant
yeah.
pool, right? And I think we just hit it right and I think she's gonna be spectacular. So very excited about that. The public RN still having a very difficult time even just getting applicants. Partially probably because of salary, probably also because it's, you know, very less than part-time. You know, I think originally it was probably, I think towns and we looked at it as this is a great retirement job, you know what I mean? I don't think people need the retirement jobs anymore, especially in this world, you know, in the RN
I
world.
got one.
I know, but I mean, I think in the RN world,
is
they
my
could have done
retirement
very, something else and not have to worry
But-
about it
but-
here, but
But the interesting thing, just a
Yeah.
thought, have you marketed towards the Retired Nurses Association?
We've marketed towards lots of nursing associations in
Mhm.
general.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Nurses in general,
VNAs.
man, nurses in general are
The-
hard.
it's just
Yeah.
The problem, the issue that I see is healthcare is changing so much so fast.
Yeah,
Why, quite frankly, my wife got out of it. She
Sure.
was she was a neonatal nurse for 20 years.
Yeah.
She walked away because of the changes.
Yeah.
And, so this is a change that I think is more positive. Where, you know, if you didn't want that rat race and you were tired of it.
yeah,
But the problem is that those people fall out of
right,
those associations.
right.
And they fall out of the places you're looking. So,
Yeah, and so, the applicants that we have found, even though the last 2 times that we posted for the position, are either people coming from the big hospitals who are like, I want to take a step back and, start to wind down for my retirement. But they're making the position bigger than it is, right? And then you have the, so I want to do this and that and this, and let's get this done, and let's have that done, and
That's not the job.
exactly. And again,
Sorry.
because that's what they know, and great,
Yeah.
it's 15 hours. And this is our scope, so anyway, but,
Yeah.
could it be that way? Sure, at some point, just not right now.
Shoulda, shoulda, woulda.
And, and then the other candidate is someone who's relatively out of nursing school, and it's funny, and I know this to be true, but it's funny when they're sitting across from it. They have a lot of gigs, man, you know what I mean? They're just kind of piecing together, like, yeah, I work about 45 hours a week, but it's for 4 different places, and this would just be part of that.
No.
But there's still, I'm fine with that, but it's,
Scary.
they're still very green, that they would need some type of mentor, and there's not a mentor here, you know what I mean? Like, we share, under that, shared grant, but they're looking for a nurse too. I think they may have hired one. I don't know who they are, if they have, but it's not an easy hire. And even when I look at the jobs that are posted, salary wise, I think we're okay. I think it's just nurses can name their price, man.
Can you, and again, there's the thought.
Yeah,
Veterans agent, we were able to use contiguous town.
Yep.
If you put 15 hours and Plymouth puts 20 hours, now you got a 35-hour
well,
position.
so we have this shared grant that Plymouth is one of those towns, right? And so they themselves have a nurse under the grant that goes to a lot of towns, right? And so we're
What I'm
only,
saying is the town with a part-time doesn't have enough part-time. Add your part-time to it.
agreed, but right now, everyone that is near us is part of that grant.
Grant,
Ah.
so that they're all should
Right.
getting a little,
They
So we
have an
can-
avenue for that without having to share the
Okay.
actual body,
right.
So the person, the grant covers, let's say Plymouth and Kingston, the person's based in Plymouth.
So the grant.
Yeah, explain the grant.
Yeah, so the grant, I think we're up to I think they are up to like 7 or 8 towns now. And they hire key positions. And each of those towns will say, yes, we could use an RN to do blah, blah, blah. And so they add up all those things from those different towns and say, okay, we, the grant, are gonna hire an RN for 30 hours a week, and they're gonna be assigned to these 10 different towns, so many hours to be it. So if you have an in-house one, you don't necessarily get that resource, but they have, that grant has other resources that we don't have, and I can't tell you what they are, but I know, they have other medical type of things that we don't have that in-house, so we're using that grant to help us in that missing piece. And Kingston had the grant for a while, but we still had our own nurse as well, because we had to share that one. So in any event, I think if that grant didn't exist, could we go to other towns and be like, let's team up and hire a full-time, someone owns them full-time, but maybe this could get us someone that's really looking for full-time, that's experienced. Maybe that grant's in place, and that's how people are using it.
Have you tried looking at any of the nursing schools or?
Oh, the nursing schools, absolutely, but
Yeah,
again,
and then traveling nurses. I don't know.
traveling nurses, no, those guys, oh my god,
They
traveling
want to
nurses
go
make like,
They're happy.
they're $20 an hour. And that's a whole lifestyle.
Oh, yeah.
That's a whole lifestyle,
Hmm.
but in any event, so, flipping through that, we'll get there, we'll get there. And we posted and hired for the executive assistant to the ZBA, resigned. She's a full-time employee with us, but she resigned that position, and so another full-time employee applied for it, and they have done that. So on the recruitment front, for wage and personnel, anyway, that's what I have going on.
Okay.
What else do I have? We're working, Kathleen Cotter and I are working on the bylaw sign off for fiscal 25. We're just getting our roster together so we can track sending it back. So I think we normally give people 6 weeks. So once that actually gets sent out, you guys will be CC'd on it. So you'll know what that looks like. So as you know, we had a reclassification of a department head position, and that board as well as the employee were under the impression of a retro happening, and they had shown parts of the bylaw that made them think that. And they continued to talk about that, and so Keith and I met with the individual, and I'm gonna reach out to Labor Council to have them review it, just to make sure, like, is there wording needs to tighten up to make sure that this is okay. Again, I don't think there'll be any movement in terms of a retro or not a retro, because the position doesn't become at the higher grade until July 1 anyway. So, but just to make sure the wording is there, so I'll keep you updated on if there's any change there. And then just an FYI, I think I've mentioned it before, but just to keep it in your heads, now that we're in fiscal 20, starting for fiscal 26.
So the retro you're referring to.
Yeah. So the union contracts, fiscal 26 will be their last year of it. They negotiated COLA is 2%. Yeah.
When will negotiations start?
No, those are done. That's a done deal.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
because if they're that.
When the contracts are at the end of fiscal 26,
The contract will end the end of fiscal.
and we're in
26.
fiscal 25.
Right, so, but we already know what their COLA for 26 is already negotiated.
I understand.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when will contract negotiations start for fiscal 27?
That will probably happen, Keith, I was just talking about that, I gotta think about years, hold on. Not this fall, so next fall, so
So
fall of
26.
Is it like
25,
December-ish?
yeah, yeah.
Fall of 25 on the calendar, FY
Yes.
beginning 26. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow,
Alright.
it feels like they just had them.
Yeah.
I know, I'm
So,
preaching to the
That's what I
choir.
got.
Okay, any questions from you guys?
No. Oh, no, that's on the agenda.
No, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, wait, we've already,
Okay.
that's
All
on
right.
the agenda. I don't know why I
Tina,
just jumped
thank you.
ahead.
First.
Next item is review any bylaw amendment requests received. We have none. Okay.
Although I will tell you, when I sent it out,
Yep.
I'm wondering, I was like.
I sent it out, I sent it just so the department heads, hey, heads up, blah, blah.
Yeah.
July 11th. At least 4 of them got back to me, they're like, I wanna do this, and I'm like, okay, that's a KT position, that's a KT, that's a budget question, that's not.
Yeah.
You know,
There it is.
it's good
There
that
it
they-
is.
It's good that they,
Absolutely.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
you know, I don't have any issues at all.
Yeah.
Good.
Any mail? No, okay, just, I'm following the list.
I didn't have to email you about anything, that's why.
No.
The review and approve minutes from June the 17th, 2024. I've reviewed them. I don't have any issue.
Neither do I. I
Okay,
wasn't there.
okay. I'll take a motion.
I take a motion to accept the meetings and the minutes for June 17, 2024.
Okay, I'm going to second that motion. I'm going to call the roll. Lorraine, abstain.
Abstain.
Darlene,
Aye.
yes.
Yes.
Jim, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Next is the agenda for August the 19th. Is there anything else?
We have water.
Water.
Yeah.
Water
yeah,
will be here?
Water.
Yeah.
All right, anything else?
Is that the same guy?
No, that's, no, 2 different things.
Two different
Yeah.
ones.
Wait, I don't know what this one is.
Water not
Yes,
available.
that one.
That's
It's that.
different than that?
Yeah,
Oh, it's
one's
the same
water,
thing.
one's, yeah. No, 2 different things.
yeah,
This is, we're
wastewater.
talking about that
Okay.
is not.
I get that every time. It's the wastewater.
I'm not sure if there will be anything.
Okay. You just keep it up to date
Yeah.
or something. so.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else for the good of the board?
No, sir.
Okay. Other than that, I'm gonna take a motion at 6:57 to end the meeting.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
I-
Call the roll. Lorraine,
Lorraine, yes.
Darlene,
Yes.
Jim, yes. Thank you.
Awesome.
Well done, well done.